Week 8 Saas product landing page. The first task was to brainstorm a product using AI. I own 2 dogs, so I wanted a product for dogs. I used ChatGPT, but it gave me boring ideas. Like all apps in the App Store, it was either about health tracking, scheduling, or social. But I serendipitously came across this line tailored to each dog and came up with a fun idea. The product idea I wanted to go with is a mobile app that dog owners can use to scan their dogs and get outfit designs. The designs can be adjusted by theme, occasion, and style, and they can actually be produced and bought through the app. ChatGPT took this idea and condensed it down to the purpose, target audience, and key features. I then used this breakdown to train as training material for copy creation, um, providing the details to ChatGPT and asking it for the headline and product description and key features. It came up with these items. Here's the headline: tailored style for your pup, made simple, and the subhead: because your dog deserves to look and feel their best. Not bad, I thought. Up next was the product description, which I thought was nice and short and touched on all the key points that I needed, as well as a feature breakdown. And I thought the feature breakdown was pretty good because it summarized everything very concisely and accurately, right? When it comes to an app like that, really what you need are the measurements from the ability to scan, and then giving the users the opportunity to really check it and fiddle with it to see what they like, and then simply to check out on the spot. So I think GPT captured that with these bullet points just fine. And then finally, it came up with this section for the call to action, and it did its job, of course. GPT prompts the user to provide their email, and it provides some good labels of where you might enter in the email for a sign up. Cool. So up next was the UI task. For this one, I relied on UiZard to get me the UI, and I figured it would follow the best practices, so I was very curious to look into that. So I let the app know that I need a landing page to collect email address in order to gauge interest, and I further explained that I wanted it styled like Dior, but to be more fun and inspired by onepagelove.com and saaslandingpage.com. I wanted to see if it could do the external like link type stuff and how well it could do that. Turned out, really couldn't tell. Probably didn't integrate that information that well, to be honest. Anyhow, I got this landing page, and it is a landing page for sure, but I'm not sure how special it is or whether it follows best practices. Regardless, it did have the essentials. I was missing, however, the features and benefits section, and it wasn't styled elegantly or anything like Dior, and I really didn't want to be stuck with this orange and white theme and playful fonts. So I used UiZard's modify selection and generate screen features to see if I couldn't do better. I actually like that these features, if you have a chance to try them, was better than that initial chat experience in that I didn't have a character limit. As you kind of see when you first try out this flow, you get that character limit, which is kind of odd. I'm guessing it helps with precision, right? So because it forces the user to be more concise. But I couldn't get everything in, and I felt like it was like missing some information that it needed. So anyhow, using these features once you're within the experience, I was able to produce like these designs. Fun fact: the generate screen feature was actually way more useful than the modify selection feature. I'm not sure why, but when you see this modify selection features like results, you'll see a lot of them sort of like look like basically a Word doc, which I'm not sure why I would ever suggest that. Anyway, I then relied, of course, on the generate the generate feature instead of modify, and worked on the prompt, and I got actually something pretty decent, right? um, from this funny like orange design, I got a nice clean design that was actually more like Dior and put together fairly meaningfully. So I thought that was good. But this wasn't anything I couldn't have done myself just by copying a website. But it was a good start. Anyhow, the next task, um, I thought I might like try out the review features as well, and it turned out pretty. It was pretty interesting. Got some feedback. You would think that what UIZard would generate would follow its own feedback, and it also has this interesting like eye tracking feature. I'll comment more about that later. All right. So after that, we get into visual rendering. I turned to OpenAI first, and I gave it the purpose, audience, and features that I had received earlier. And it came back with this interesting design. I actually thought it was good because it captured all of the content that I needed, more or less, but it was rather cartoony. I mean, even look at this dog here, it's got its head chopped off. So, not quite sure why the content ended up that way, but overall, it has material, like substance, right? So I modified the prompt again to see if I couldn't make it less cartoony, right? I kind of specified to make it look more like Dior.com, to use large fonts and neutral colors, some more like design instruction, and I was able to get a step closer, right? No dogs were harmed in this one. They all have their heads. And then finally, in the last one, it was like very brown, right? Still, and maybe not like as clean, but I saw that by providing some additional design instructions, like using more white space and larger images, actually got it to more what you would imagine. Like if you weren't looking at this too carefully and maybe looking at it from afar, you say, actually, this might look like a nice luxury brand like website for dog clothing, right? So that's pretty legit. I like that. Um, let's see. I did want to try like Mid-Journey though to see if I couldn't get better results. So my initial prompt got me views of the product, but not the landing page itself. But I think if you look at the thumbnails, you can already see it's promising. There are cartoons, but there are also options of a actual like app that's not that cartoony. So I went ahead and emphasized the landing page rather than the product itself, and in the prompt, and I got these results, which I thought each one of them from afar were legitimate like app experiences. So if I were to get started today, I could definitely use a view like this, right? Where I actually just looking at it, I can tell that it's about clothes for dogs, and it's got a nice like pleasant, elegant feel about it, which is good. I thought it had a real application for Dior's look and feel into this use case. I've mentioned a lot of my reflections, but I'll sort of consolidate them here in the reflection section. For use of AI tools, I felt I could rely on the AI tools to get started, but I wouldn't say that's true for the UI step actually. As mentioned before, I wasn't so sure I could take UIZard like seriously, as its feedback seemed to undermine its own generations and state the obvious. The AI tools were helpful for visual rendering, however. Midjourney, especially, as you saw at the end, gave me the look and feel I was sort of looking for, and it actually like applied by analogy Dior's style to my use case, right? So that was fine, and I would say it did that passing an eyeball test. And then finally, comparing this process to the traditional design process, I would say you couldn't really compare them because they're two different things. The traditional process really is fundamentally about responding to like human reaction, and fundamentally AI is not doing that, right? Fundamentally AI is reacting to its own training material, which isn't human reaction. So you can't make the comparison. But I did think that you can regard the AI process as a complementary process to streamline the efforts of the traditional process. So as you could tell, I felt that was effective in doing things like applying a style to a different use case, and I think there's also some potential there. Even though the for reviews and audits, even though UIZard didn't get its uh, review, like the feedback and review, like to be meaningful, I think we're not far though from getting it to be meaningful. Like something as mechanical as that can be done for something like accessibility testing, where you could test the contents and visuals for like color contrast, uh, large enough font size, and pinpointing where exactly those problems are arising. Like I feel like that's well within our reach. All right, and that's all I have for week eight's assignment. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing what you came up with. Cheers.